Do you have a comment? All right. Facebook user. Woo. Okay. Tell us who
Somebody
you
saying hello.
are. Tell us who you are. I'm going to go on Instagram and see. Okay. Um, I don't know. I thought I did everything before I started. So if not, I'm going to have to repost it. But I'm not going to worry about it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this live. I'm Siriaka Yolanda. I'm a health coach with Wise and Fit 2. And I am so excited to be able to come to you and talk with my friend of a long, long time. We go way back. And we are going to do this in English. Vamos a hacerlo en inglés y español también, because we have, our audience is bilingual. Okay, so oh, my sister is here. She can hear
Yeah.
me. Yay! Okay, okay. All right. So listen. Okay, so let me just start off by saying that as a health coach, I know that one of the things that really, really impacts a lot of women, especially women in menopause, etc., but even before menopause, is the whole thing about weight loss. And I have worked with lots of women over the years, and I can say that, though weight loss is not my main focus, no mi tema más importante, it is a part. It is something that really concerns a lot of women. Okay. So I'm sure that you have heard about the new weight release. And I like to use the word release instead of loss, because when you lose something, you can find it. And we don't want to find it. No queremos encontrar el peso que perdemos, ¿verdad? So I contacted a friend of mine, Magda Santiago, who you see in the stage right now, who, we go back way, way back. She is a Zumba instructor. I used to be a Zumba instructor, and we met years ago, eons ago, on the East Coast when I lived on the East Coast, and there was such a tribe of Zumba instructors. That it was so tight. It was like a really tight community. So, even though Magda and I probably have met in person at convention or, at some events, we have maintained a friendship, not necessarily a close friendship, but a friendship throughout the years. Magda was the one who I bought false eyelashes from. Y todavía no sé cómo ponérmelos, pero
God.
yo compré, las pestañas postizas, de Magda. So she's throughout the year, she has been in my orbit, and I know I have been in hers.
Yeah.
So I made a post in my group about Oprah's special, and Magda, she responded, I'm using it, you know, I could talk about it. So I reached out to her and I said, this is an opportunity for educating. You know, I am not here to tell people what to do. I am not here to judge anyone. I am curious, and I know that there's so many other people who are curious too.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's why I invited my friend Magda. So Magda, I want you to introduce yourself, and and then I'll just tell us a little bit about your story, and I'll ask you some questions, and we'll go on. We'll be together for about an hour,
All
and if
right.
you have questions, please put them in the comments. I'm able to see Facebook questions. I don't know if I'm able to see Instagram or YouTube, because I'm streaming there too. But please put your questions. Okay. So Magda, introduzcase.
Well, thank you so much for having me. First of all, it's always nice to come to your page and chat with your followers and talk about the trends and new things happening and how all these things affect us one way or another and how we can support each other in one way or another, because at the end of the day that's what we're looking for, right? We're women supporting women, and cheering each other up. So I'm Magda Santiago. I'm originally from Puerto Rico. I'm 52 years old and I've been in the fitness industry since I was 16 years old. I got my first certification as a fitness instructor, aerobic instructor back then by the Idea company that then just became like Alpha and all that stuff. I've been a Zumba instructor since 2005. I'm currently not teaching since
Mm.
COVID, but I was telling my friend that I still jump every now and then in some events. I do fundraisers. I go to events in the area. I've driven to uh, Washington D.C. to see Ronnie, who is like a brother to me, like some of my favorite CJs and presenters. So I still try to stay active in that community that I love so much. But, things happen, things change. We grow up, people move away, and trends change too. And it's kind of hard to stay connected on the same wave with other people, right? In the same wavelength. So, um, maintaining relationships with people through social network, I think it's been amazing because that way we can still peek in each other and be like, oh my god, I see what you're doing fantastic, I love what you're doing, or I haven't seen you in a long time. And I love getting those messages, where have you been, you've been kind of quiet. Well, things happen. Life can be hard, and sometimes we have to take a step back and hide a little bit to focus on ourselves, and that's exactly what I did. So when you posted about the whole Oprah show that was coming up, I decided, you know what? I know that she has an amazing follow of women that are going through the same struggles that I have been going, because most of us go through it. Why not talk about a little bit about why I make the decisions that I made about going with these option, and talk about my experience with it. So I'm really happy that that we're able to have an open communication about educating people in these
Yeah.
different tools that are coming about, and how people are using them for different reasons, because they all have different. At the end of the day, they are made for something, but along the way, they are discovering new things that start
Mm.
helping people in different ways. So I'm going to talk about the semaglutide because
Okay.
that's the medication that I'm on. Semaglutide will be equivalent to Ozempic.
Okay.
There's also another medication called tirzepatide. Now, tirzepatide would be equivalent to Manjaro, Wegovy, and Zepbound. Um, Difference, basically, tirzepatide, it's a little bit more aggressive, so people tend to lose more weight at a faster pace in that one. So I would say people that have to lose more weight, usually that's the one. I would say if you have to lose more than 50 pounds, talk to
Mm.
your doctor. That's the one I would recommend to you. Now, like I said before, I don't have any medical background, so I'm just
Right.
going to be talking
Right.
about my experience and my
Right.
journey.
Yeah.
But I
And, and,
appreciate
and,
that.
and
That
let me just interrupt and state that, yeah, neither one of us are doctors. No somos médicos.
Yeah,
And we do not provide medical advice. It is very important for you to check with your medical provider before you do anything. We are here as just sharing information,
yeah,
sharing personal information. We are both very interested in health and, in maintaining our health. And we are here just sharing information. It's for educational purposes only. That's
absolutely,
important.
absolutely. So we like to call ourselves product pointers or help pointers. That's what we call ourselves in the community that I'm involved now. So my journey basically started when COVID hit. When COVID hit, I was in the best shape I had been in a long time. I
Mm,
was probably at a 130 weight. I'm only 5'3", so I was at my ideal weight, feeling amazing, teaching full of energy, and COVID hit. And of course, my world went upside down, just like everybody else. I lost all my contracts with the locations I was teaching because we all got furloughed in order to help us one way or another. I continued teaching at home virtually until, I want to say, until the month of September. But throughout that time, I started noticing the changes. I have been perimenopausing since I was like
Mm,
35, so very, very young. Um, and in between April, March, and September, I went full in menopause. Like it just hit me like somebody just smacked me in the face, and I was done. I basically just took my gloves off and I threw them and I said, I can't do this anymore. I was getting depressed. I was feeling lost. Even though
mhm.
my house was full of people, I was feeling very lonely because I feed off people's energy. And it's
Yeah,
not the same giving these energy through a camera that you're giving 120 to get
right,
10%. It was just too much. And it got to a point that I was feeling so empty that I was feeling like I was being a fake. I was feeling, when you get in the morning and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to go teach Zumba. I was getting so excited.
right,
I got to the point that I was like, oh my God, I have to teach another class. Just shoot me. Like
right.
that's the wave. That's the mental wave that I was going into. And I was like, something is not right. I remember I posted on my Instagram something where I was literally saying that I was going to take my sneakers off and just stop. And even
Mhm.
Alberto Perman, who is the CEO of Zumba,
Yeah,
reached out to me. And he was like, wait, what's going on? Why are you quitting? What are we not doing right? I said, it's not you guys. I've been doing this since I was a teenager.
right.
I've been doing it for other people. I've been keeping people active and supporting them and cheering them up. And I have forgotten about myself along the road. So I think this is the perfect time for me to just take a step back and see what I'm lacking. And that's exactly what I did. Um, Fast forward, March 2021 came and I was able to still continue active, doing my thing, but the changes were happening. I could see that now if I worked out a certain amount of time, I was starting to feel the aches
Oh, yeah,
and I was
yeah,
starting to feel bloatiness and certain things that I used to eat before, now I can't eat them because
right,
one, I was not burning the same amount of calories that I was burning while I was teaching. My
right.
activity level had, diminished. Um, I'm getting older.
Mhm,
I do
mhm.
have arthritis. So my arthritis was flaring up. All these things came along. Um,
Which are all a part of hormone
oh my
changes that
God.
a woman
Yes.
goes through. Yeah, that could be a
Absolutely.
surprise. Like what's happening to
Absolutely.
my body? Yeah,
Absolutely. But you still in the back of my head, I'm like, I know what to do. I know what to eat. I know what to work out. I know what kind of workouts I have to do to get myself back. Okay, let's get to it. And I will do it. And I will spend a week, 2 weeks doing what I need to do. But it was just not budging. My body was just not responding the same way that I used to do when I was in my 30s.
right.
It doesn't happen that way anymore. Fast forward March 2022, that's when I started seeing like the the bad and the ugly. Like
Mm,
my body was completely changing. um I was always bloated. I gained 20 to 25 pounds in 1 year.
mhm,
And I was like, why and how is
mhm.
this happening? Because I'm not a sugar eater. I am not a junk eater. I don't drink sugary drinks, any of that stuff. So I was like, what is happening? And you get very frustrating and very lonely. And when you come from the fitness world, you feel shame, you feel
Right,
embarrassed, you feel like
right.
you're letting people down. um and the depression just kept getting bigger and bigger. And there were days, I'm going to be honest, I had maybe 4 days at one point that I literally, this is all I did for 24 hours, 4 days, without showering,
Mm,
without nothing. And
mm,
my husband would look at me, but he would leave me alone because he knew that I was not okay.
mhm.
It was really hard. It was a really, really dark, dark, dark place. Um, to the point that in September of 2022, I told my husband, I need to get a lipo. I can't, my body is just like out of whack. I don't know what I'm going to do. Nothing in my closet fits. It was insane. I got a lipo, and back in January, I
Mm.
gained that back and more.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I had been going to my doctors and I
Mm,
was like, this is what I'm doing. I need a full panel,
mhm.
complete check me what is going on with my body. So when you go to your regular primary care, they do the usual. Your
Right,
thyroid, your cholesterol,
right,
A1C, whatever.
right.
Everything is coming back okay. So there's no thyroid, no of this. So I went out of my network.
Yeah. And
And I
sometimes
was,
that's what you have to do
I
because
did.
a
I
lot of
had
doctors, they're very limited on, I don't like to speak in generalities, but
very.
they don't go out of the way to really find
Mm-mm.
what the issue is.
No.
So, yeah.
So through a friend, I found out that her and her husband had been going for hormonal treatment.
Mm,
And I was like, "Oh, I need to know where my hormones are." So both my husband and I went to the same place. Got like 10 pages worth of blood work, things that I have never heard before, and to find out that my problem was cortisol. So
oh,
cortisol levels were
yes.
completely out of whack. My glucose levels, even though that I don't eat sugary stuff,
Yeah.
because it's a combination, it
Right.
was completely out of place.
Right.
So the solution was at the time, I'm gonna give you some supplements. Let's try those supplements, and see what happens. So I started taking the supplements. I had some good days. I had days that it was like, why I even bother? I'm still eating healthy and all that. And it wasn't budging. It just wasn't happening. I actually found out that one of the supplements that I was given was actually making me gain more weight. So I went back and I was like, I don't know what's happening, but I think that medication is actually making me gain more weight. So immediately he took me off the medication. And I had already heard about the shots for diabetics being,
Okay.
being people losing weight. And because this is not a new trend, this has been around
Right.
for, it's been a big trend in the last 2 years. But these medications have been around for 20 years.
Yeah.
Medical
And I
data.
didn't know that before, before
20,
watching Oprah, like I didn't
exactly,
know that.
exactly 20 years. So I said, I need something. And they were willing to put me in the medication, but of course, my insurance would not cover. And when he was going to put me in the medication, there was the shortage because it had just
Mm,
exploded and everybody wanted the medication. And he
mhm.
was like, you're going to have to wait like another 4 or 5 months. And I
Wow.
had a family reunion coming up, and I was like, yeah, that's not going to work. So I started doing research. Took me about 6 months approximately from January to June for me to find what I was looking for. I looked at different med spas that were offering it, but when you would talk to them, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, we have something, but it's a peptide that you have to mix it yourself." And I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that." Or their prices were ridiculous. I mean, we were talking about you will go to one place and it will cost you $300 the shot just for
Mhm.
the service, just the one shot, or
Wow.
it will cost you $1,800 for a 1 month supply. It was like all this insanity stuff. Um, and of course, I was also reading about all the negative that people were
Right.
talking about.
Right.
Oh, you're taking medication from diabetics. There's
Right.
people that can't find it because of what's going on, and there's people dying because of taking that medication. And I'm like, okay, so this is serious. Let me do more research, talk to my doctors again. I have a doctor that is very old fashioned,
Mm.
very,
Mhm.
but I
Mhm.
have another my doctors out of my network. They're very modern. This is like a combination of different doctors. They're all very modern. They're very focused on the future, right? And they really, really opened my eyes to a lot of questions that I had. This is not a medication you take if you have had some sort of thyroid
Right.
uh, molecule cancer, or if you have pancreatitis or gallbladder issues, because there has been instances of people that have had those issues, but you can count them with your hand. I mean, when you count the millions of people that dies in a week over obesity to the people that have gotten affected by taking a medication, any medication. Let's talk about Tylenol. Tylenol, you read it, and it has size symptoms too. Every medication you open has possible symptoms that are secondary that you could have from anything. So it's like any other medication. I personally haven't had anything but a little bit of nausea in the first 2 days
Wow.
because I'm putting something in my body that is new. So in August, mid August, well, beginning of August, it was the Zumba convention, and I had to present with Melissa, and I wanted to die. I wanted to die. I was there, and I was happy in the Zumba world, and everything is happy, and people hugging and stuff. But in the back of my head, I was like, oh my God, what is people saying about me? I'm on this stage, and I'm the biggest girl on the stage, and I
Mm.
feel awful, and I'm in pain. I was dancing. When I finished that night, I literally had to go and ice my whole body because it was just not like before. So, like it was all of that. It was like
Right, right.
accumulation of all that. So I took my first shot actually the same week that we were going to my family reunion in Dominican Republic. And right away, we were in an all inclusive place. I looked at the food. I had food. I don't restrain myself from eating food, but it wasn't like I've never had food issues. Let's start with that. So I never
Okay,
have had that
okay,
food noise that they talk about. So my problem was not obesity because of food. My problem was because of the hormonal imbalance that I have.
okay.
Okay. So there's different layers for everything, right? Um, I ate, but it wasn't like I'm gonna eat this whole plate of food. No, I will eat and I will be so satisfied. Even drinking. I'm in an all inclusive and everybody's drinking and I will have two drinks and everybody else is getting loaded. So it's like,
Mhm.
wow. So right away my system just reacted. Um I kept track of my changes weekly because you do it once a week. Um and I'm gonna say by the end of November, that's when I saw the big change. We went to Puerto Rico. I always go to Puerto Rico for my birthday in November. And even on my birthday, I saw some changes. I was fitting in clothes, but I wasn't like, woo, thrilled yet.
Mhm.
End of November to beginning of December, that's when I saw that I went to put a dress on for a wedding that we were going. I was like, oh my God, my clothes, my closet. I tried 30 dresses on and they all fit. And I was doing a happy dance around my house. So,
How much, how
it's
much
the
weight had
confidence.
you? How much weight had you lost at that time? And it was what, 4 months then?
That was 3 months. So it
Okay,
was mid August to
okay.
mid November or so. So that's about 3 months. I would say I had lost about 20 pounds back
Wow,
by then, but
wow.
it was more inches than anything. Like
Mm,
my stomach was shrinking, my face was shrinking. I was getting this roll right here and it was like going away. Like I noticed, even my breast. Like I
mm,
was so mad because I always had small breasts and my breasts
mm,
had gotten so big. It was
mhm,
getting on my way to even tie my shoes. And I was like, this is just not me. This is
mm.
not my body. So those were the changes. I didn't focus so much on the scale, even though I was weighing
Right.
myself, but I was focusing myself how I was feeling. I
Yeah,
go for a walk now and I'm not hurting.
yeah,
Okay, my bones are not cracking. I'm sleeping better.
yeah, yeah.
Like all those things that came along the way. So at the end of the 3 months, you have to reassess. So I
Okay,
reassess with my doctor because the way it works with my company, you have to reassess every 3 months to see if you want to continue on the same dosage and if you want to continue on the medication or if you want to stop or change the dose.
okay.
Um, so today is what, March 20th. As of today, I've lost 36 pounds.
Wow.
I'm super happy because the medication I picked was the semaglutide, and it's been like a healthy, steady weight. So I lose between a pound to a pound and a half a week,
Okay, okay,
approximately, which
okay.
is the healthy way to lose weight for someone my size, right?
Right,
Now, for
right.
someone that is bigger,
Yeah,
they
it's
might
gonna be
need to
totally
lose
different.
more at a
Exactly,
faster
exactly.
pace
Right,
to get to their
right,
goal.
right.
Um, so I found this company. A friend of mine was going through the same thing, and we have been talking about it. And I was at the point of I don't know what to do anymore. I mean, at the point that I was like, I'm just give up now. I guess I'm gonna be big for the rest of my life. I'm just gonna have to deal with it, and that's that. And my friend's going through the same thing, and she calls me. She's like, "Hey, I'm gonna jump in a Zoom for a company. They've been around for a while, but they're gonna start introducing the weight loss shots." And I was like, I'm gonna hop in with you. And I hopped on. There were a bunch of doctors because they have telehealth
Mhm.
doctors. A lot of them are focused in their heart, skin, hair, and weight loss. So it's like a combination of doctors too. And right off the bat, I said, "That's it. That's it. You convinced me." I jump in right away. I order my medication, and I am happy. The process is super easy and convenient. There are requirements to get this medication. It's not like you just go and like, no, I want the shots
Right.
and that's it. No. They have telehealth doctors. There's an assessment that you have to do that asks about your medical history. You have to qualify based in your BMI. So you have to have a 30 or higher, which means you are considered
Right.
overweight. If you're under 30, you're at 27, between 27 and 30, you have to have some sort of pre-existing conditions, such
Mm,
as cholesterol, A1C, all those things that
mm,
lead you into being
okay.
pre-diabetic or diabetic.
Okay.
So those are the requirements. You have to be 18 years old, of course. The process is simple. If you see you qualify, the next step is picking your medication based on how fast or how you want to lose or how much it costs too, because it is costly. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was the best option that I could afford. Okay. So, that's why I picked one of the reasons why I picked the medication I picked. And then your doctor comes back to you and he tells you, okay, so based on your history, I'm going to approve you. This is going to be your dosage, which is another point that is very important too, because there's some people that are jumping into it and they want to do the highest dose right away. And these are the people that are complaining about being sick all the time with nauseous and diarrhea, and I'm dying and this medication is horrible, is because they don't want to start slow. They want to lose it so quickly because they're so desperate that they want
Mm,
to jump into the bigger dose. I mean, it took me 7 months to be in a one. I'm in 100 milliliters now. So
okay.
now I'm in a this is the shot. This is
Okay.
the needle. So I'm
Okay.
all the way up here now. But I literally started right here. Like you start in like point 10, then you move into point 20 or point 25, depending on the medication. So the way they do it is you spend 4 weeks in one dosage.
Mm-hmm.
If that dosage is doing good for you, then the doctor say, okay, let's move you up to the next dosage. If you have some sort of issues, the doctor might hold you back.
Mm-hmm.
If he says you're doing fantastic, finish that month, and then they bump you up. So you can
Mm,
stay in the same dosage. Let's say you're on a point 50 and you're feeling amazing at that dosage. You don't want to go higher. You can stay on that, and
okay.
you're still gonna have you're still gonna lose the
Right.
weight. Um, One thing I did notice when I went to a higher dose, like the dosage that I am right now, I'm eating more, because before, the connection of the GLP way, the
Right.
GLP-1, the way it works, it connects your stomach, right, your gut
The,
with your
the
brain.
brain.
So
That's
your
right.
gut is saying, oh my God, just
Yeah.
feed me,
Right.
and you keep
Right.
going. What this medication does is slow down your metabolism, right? So it slow down the way the food is processed in your gut, so you feel fuller a longer period.
Okay.
And sometimes that could be a problem for some people
Right.
because they will
Right.
not eat at all, and
Right.
that's even worse,
Let me
because when
ask you this.
yeah,
How about
absolutely.
elimination? Because one of the things that I heard is that, yeah, the food stays in your system longer, in your
Hmm.
gut, and then that impacts your elimination.
Hmm.
Ingestion and elimination are part of the circle of good health.
Right.
So have you experienced that, or have you heard
So
anything about
I
that?
always had some sort of issues with constipation, like all my life, all my
Okay.
life. So it happens, but that's where it's important to consume more fiber.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you're gonna avoid all that processed food. You're gonna avoid all the fried stuff, all
Which
the
is what you
greasy
should be
stuff,
doing
right?
anyway.
Which is why it's important to understand that this is not a one step. You just put the shot, you lose the weight, and that's it. No, if you do that, just like any diet, you're gonna gain the weight back.
Right. Right.
This is a lifestyle change. It's a tool to aid you to go back to say, okay, I'm spending all this money and putting all these chemicals in my body. Why am I going to go back the old way, the old way? This is the perfect time for you to be like, okay, this is what I have to do. You have to up your protein,
Mm-hmm.
right? The
Hmm.
protein has to be your primary source. Uh, you have to eat more fiber to keep your system flowing, and lots of water, because
Yeah.
you're going to be thirsty all the time. all
Right.
the time. So water is key. Lots of vegetables, just like a
Right.
healthy lifestyle,
Right.
and working out.
Right.
So working out, it's critical, and I'm not talking cardio. You can do the
Right.
cardio, but I'm
Yeah.
talking some
Muscle.
sort of resistance
Yeah.
training, weight
Yeah.
training, because you will lose some muscle mass.
Right.
You
Right.
will lose some muscle mass, and if you don't jump on it right away, the older you get, the harder it gets to get that muscle mass
Absolutely.
back.
Absolutely.
So it's a combination, but the beauty of it is that once you are done, you have already trained your body and your mind, because
Mhm.
you're gonna see food differently. You're
Mhm.
gonna I still My mom makes arroz con gandules y habichuela and carne frita, and I eat it,
Right.
but
Right.
I don't eat a whole plate of rice,
Right.
right? I
Right.
look at it and I'm like, I'm not gonna be satisfied with this little bit. And I'm satisfied with that little bit. And that's it. So it's about training your brain and your system. And it's the beauty, is that combination. Now, someone with morbid obesity, that they do have the disease, they probably might have to stay on the medication forever.
That's what
And
I was going to ask. Yeah, but that's one of my questions about how do you have to, does everyone have to stay on
no,
it for the rest of
no,
their life? Or is there
no.
a point that you learn, because that's what I teach in my health coaching, that you
Mhm.
learn what it is that your body needs and how to manage that,
Yep.
and, in all kinds of situations, because you
Yep.
may be at a party, they have cake and they have, all of that. It's not saying that you can't have that.
Exactly. It's how much you have, right? It's like
Yeah.
everything. And
Yeah.
sometimes you will look at it, you won't even have the appetite for it. Like
Right. Exactly.
my husband can eat an entire cheesecake from Little Cheesecake Factory. I look at it and I'm like, I'm not a sugars person, but I will have a sliver and I'll have half of a sliver and I'm satisfied. I love prosecco and I love wine. And lately, I would drink 1 or 2 bottles of prosecco by myself on a Friday,
Mhm,
Saturday night.
mhm,
Now
mhm,
I have a glass and a half, and I'm like, I'm done.
mhm,
Like,
mhm.
so there's been also studies about these medications affecting people with addictions, alcoholism,
Wow,
drugs. So
really?
there's so many things coming along. This is like a brand new, I mean, it's not brand new, but there's so many things coming along. Now
That they're
FDA is
learning
approving it.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, now FDA is approving it for people with heart conditions.
Wow.
This is going to be a game changer, and they're working on different things. They're working on one that is going to be once a month instead of once a week for people with diabetic conditions. So rather than be taking a bunch of pills, do you rather take 20 pills a
Right.
day or have one shot a week or one
Right.
shot a month? I'm sorry,
Right.
I hate taking pills. So
Yeah.
but to answer your question about staying in the medication, for example, me, I only have 5 pounds left to get to my goal, okay, my ultimate goal. So my plan is to stay in a what we call a maintenance
Yeah.
for at
Yeah.
least 1 month. For at least 1 month. And that doesn't mean I'm gonna do a full shot of the medication. Once I reach my goal, I will go back to my doctor and be like, okay, I'm back into my goal that I wanted. What is the dosage that you recommend me and for how long, so I can still training my system and be like, okay, you got control, but I'm gonna aid you a little bit, right? So I,
Mhm.
instead of doing once a week, maybe I'll do it once a month, one little shot. Maybe I'll do it when I'm gonna go on a vacation, a small dose, something like that. But I know me personally that I'm not gonna have to depend on these anymore
Okay.
to get to where I want to get, because I'm feeling good again. I'm able to work out again. I'm not aching. My
Mhm.
system is reacting to the things that I used to do before. So it's that transition, right? It's that
Right.
time to be in the
Right.
medication to make that transition seamless and effortless that you can just sustain for the rest of your life. Because that's
Yeah.
at the end of that, I have a brand new grandson. I want to be around to play with him. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's at the end of the day, that's the goal. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, when I was watching the Oprah show, I left with the impression that you staying on this for the rest of your life. And I was
Mm.
like, what? So that was kind of like, it startled me.
Yeah, yeah. But well, there is people that probably, but it's like it's like people are diabetic, right? They're gonna have to
Right.
be taking the medication for the rest of their life. So
Right.
it's the same thing. It's just a different source of medication. Instead of a pill, it's a shot. Um, and I think that now that they're doing even more studies on it and seeing
Mhm.
the other ways that it's affecting people in a good way,
Mhm.
it's people just needs to be more open-minded at the options and at the idea that yes, obesity is a
Disease.
illness.
Yeah. Yeah.
People, there's people I know, women that are big, that are at the gym every
Right.
day,
Oh yeah.
working out,
Absolutely.
eating clean, and they're not necessarily starving themselves, they're
Right.
eating healthy,
Right.
but their bodies will not react
Right.
because there's much more than just food. It's
Right.
hormones, it's
Right.
genetics,
Right.
it's so many things.
It's a number of things. Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's
Absolutely.
weight is, the body is so complex, right? There's so many things. Right now, I just went today to get a bunch of blood work done because I know that I'm lacking some, probably some nutrients, because along the way I might have forgotten to start to keep taking my fish oil or something like that. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm feeling like I don't know, like a little weak some days. And then I realized, oh wow, it's been like a month maybe that I haven't taken my regular supplement, my fish oil, my vitamin D3, my magnesium. These are things that as we're aging, like it or not,
Right.
even if we eat healthy, our body is not producing enough. So we
Right.
need to put it in the system. So
Absolutely.
that's what this medication does, right? It's a hormone that is in our system. But as we age, we lose it too, just like we lose bone density.
Right.
So
Absolutely. Yeah.
all
Absolutely.
these things come along. And let me tell you, peptides are going to be the way of the future for everything. For
Hmm.
everything. And I just hope that we get to a point that it becomes affordable for everyone, which at
Yeah.
the end of the day, that's the big issue here, right?
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
have many clients now coming to me, many, I call clients because we do have an affiliate program. And I
Okay.
was like,
Okay.
why not? I'm helping people. You want me to help people just from introducing them to your
Right.
company?
Right.
Of course. Why not? It's like everything, right? Money is money, comes from
Right.
every sources.
Right.
But I always talk to the people and I tell them before, have you talked to your doctor first? Don't
Mhm.
come to me just because you want to do the shot. No,
Mhm.
there's
Mhm.
requirements. Go to your doctor first. If your doctor says it's good and you can go through your insurance, go through your insurance. I went through my insurance first. Unfortunately, they didn't cover.
Right. Most of them don't. And as you get older and you get in Medicare, believe me, it's not going to cover it. It's
Yeah,
not
and
going to
now
cover it.
the other issue they're having now, that there are people that their insurance is covering it, but it's getting to the point that they're like, okay, we cover you this much, now we're cutting you. So now you left a person halfway through
Mhm.
a
Mhm.
treatment and they're desperate. They're
Mhm.
desperate.
Mhm.
They're like going crazy. And that's why I'm happier with a compound, because
Mhm.
a compound doesn't really run out. So the way these are delivered, because instead of getting the, when you get it through the doctor, the Manjaro, whatever, they come in a filled device, right? It's like a
Okay.
little plastic thing and the syringe is inside, which actually the shortage is more on that than the medication because it's the way that it's delivered. So if
Okay.
the company that is creating the syringe that they use is running out of those, yeah, they're going to be backed up, right? They're going to be back order. So the way I get it, I get the whole vial. So I
Okay.
get the whole vial, I measure myself. So when I get my supplies, I get 3 months worth of medication in one vial.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm not going to run out of product
Right. Right.
because they're always available,
Right.
which is the beauty of it. Other thing that I do tell people, if you're going to go with another source that is not through your doctor, there's a lot of med spas and people doing it out there.
Right. Right.
There's other telehealth companies doing it too. What I tell them is make sure that they are being sent from a 503A-B, regulated by the FDA pharmacies, because
Mhm.
that's really important. There are people that are, I know there are people, I saw some people on TikTok, let's say, uh, nurse practitioners that are buying the medication in bulk and they're selling it to people without medical prescriptions.
Mm. Mm.
That's a huge red flag because people just
Right.
Just
Right.
want it, so and they're coming from different pharmacies. So the list of pharmacies that are approved by the regulated by the FDA, they'll always ask for those.
Mm-hmm.
They are available. That's public information. So just to make sure that what you're getting is a high grade medication and it's coming from the right sources.
Yeah.
And I come from pharma, so for me that was a big deal too.
Yeah.
So there's like little things that people needs to discover, but they have to be open and willing to be educated on these things, right? Because there's so much negativity around these
Oh,
too.
there's so much negativity. There's so much blame and shame, and there's so much ignorance. There really is.
Ignorant.
People do not know. They really do not know.
Yeah.
And, that's why I wanted you on here because I want I want people to hear from a person who's just like them. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you're not Oprah. You're not,
No.
all these other kind of people, but someone who's real, someone that, I personally know and, who could speak from her experience. And that's key. That's a gem.
Yeah. I think for me, the biggest the biggest point I can tell people is what I've gained. I feel like I've gained my life back, honestly.
Mm,
Um um, and everybody in my family sees it. My circle of friends see it. My family sees it. It's been different. I feel like I'm a good mom again. I'm a good
yeah,
wife again. I'm
yeah.
doing things for my health. Like I'm socializing again. I'm a social butterfly, and I was feeling like I was disappearing. You know.
Yeah, you
So
are. I've always known you as a social butterfly. So, like, to hear you, I'm like, what? Magda?
yeah,
So I'm
I
so
mean,
glad.
there's people
Yeah,
that can't even believe it. They're like, "No, you don't look like you gained weight." I'm like, "Well, it's called knowing how to take pictures and
yeah,
angles and how to
exactly.
dress and
And
all
we know
that."
how to do that. We know
Yeah,
how to
so
hide certain things. That's yeah, but we can't avoid facing ourselves and how we
absolutely.
feel.
And I
And
think that's always the
that's
hardest part. We
yeah,
always the hardest on ourselves. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't matter how many times your husband or your friends are like, "No, you're beautiful,"
right,
whatever. You only know what you feel when you look at yourself in the mirror, and when you don't feel like you should feel.
yes,
That's
yeah,
the thing, because
yeah,
our people are born and they're meant to be certain size.
right,
Unfortunately, that's the reality. But
right,
when you know that that's not who you're supposed to be,
yeah,
it's really hard to accept it.
yeah,
And especially being in the fitness world. Oh, so you're gonna come and stand in front of me and tell me this is what I have to do when you're
right.
not doing it yourself? Because that's what people's gonna judge you about,
Yeah,
right? Is
yeah.
the
And
first
that's what you
impression.
think too.
And that's
Even
what you think. I
even though
know.
you could be fit, but if you think, oh, that's what they're gonna think about me, it
Yeah.
impacts how
Yeah, it does.
your own
It does.
self-confidence, your own be able to self-love. It
Yeah.
impacts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
it's really hard. It's really hard because I've had always been that girl that's like, I don't apologize for who I am. I speak out myself. I love who I am with my flaws and my goods. But it gets to a point, especially when I think it's because as you're aging, for me is being more afraid of not being able to, right?
yeah.
Like I see my mother's 86. She's pretty healthy, but
Mm-hmm.
she struggles with her bones. She has
Mm-hmm.
fallen twice, broken her knee, her wrist. I'm like, I don't, it's not that I don't want to be like my mother, but
No, no, I
I
get you.
don't have to depend of anyone when
Right.
I'm that age to feel useful and to be able to do the daily things I want to do. Like she loves to work in the yard, but she physically starts and then she has to stop. Like at the end of the day, what is your goal?
Yeah,
What is your goal, right? How do you want to see yourself from here to 10, 20, 30 years?
exactly.
So
And
so yeah.
and that's been my soapbox like for a long time. I am 72 years old.
Okay.
I feel differently than I did 10 years ago. There's things that I could do. I used to love to do burpees. I can't do burpees anymore like I used to, okay? I got to do it real
Let's
slow.
modify. Let's modify.
Yeah, which is okay.
And it's funny
I
because sometimes we
move.
think, oh no, we gotta go full out. And you know what? Sometimes you're like,
No,
what a stupid
that's
idea is that?
that's one thing that I've learned is that as you grow older, you have to adjust.
Hmm.
and know what it is that you can and cannot do, but you got to do
Yes.
so that you can remain independent. That is so key, to
Yeah.
remain
Independent.
independent, you
Totally.
know,
Totally.
because when we lose our ability to take care of ourselves, it begins to affect every part of us.
Everything. Everything.
And
I think culturally too, it's a big impact. Um, because my mom, Latina, but it's an older generation, right?
mhm,
That there was no working out and
right,
going to
right,
gyms and none of that. All we did was work and take care of our family and whatever. I am pretty sure that if the tools we have today had been available for her when she was younger, it would be a whole different story. And
right,
coming from a different background too, or coming from, she was in
right,
Puerto
right,
Rico, she wasn't here. There
right,
wasn't that mentality of, you work out every day, you have to protect your bones. There wasn't that mentality. We're
right,
very lucky that we have so many things accessible, not necessarily going to a gym, but
right,
even
right,
a workout. And I mean, you don't need equipment to work out.
right,
But if your body is telling you you can't do it,
right.
it's pretty hard
It does. It does.
to, when you used to go for a 5 mile run and 5 mile walk and be like all pumped up, but now you're doing 1 mile and everything is hurting for a week.
Yeah.
It's really hard and it's very discouraging.
Yeah, yeah. Really begins to affect your lifestyle, and your mind. It really does begin to affect your mind. And I always say that your mindset is number one.
Yeah.
That is what is going to keep you moving and keep you going, is your mindset. So that there's got to be a connection there with that. And that's what I focus on, in the programs that I offer as a health coach. So for those of you who are listening, if you want to know more, um, I thank you, Magda, for sharing with us about an
Absolutely.
option that is available to people,
Hmm.
and you've got to see whether this is for you or not, but there's no shame
Yeah.
I mean, because people are using pills, people are using teas, people are using bone broth. I mean, everything, every single day on social media, you see all of these
Yeah.
things. It's no different than, what you're taking. It's an
No
option.
different, and you might end up with no real results.
Exactly. Exactly. Back to the same place that you were or worse.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Exactly.
it's an option. And if anyone is interested in more information, DM me and I will just ask you some questions, and if it's necessary, I do have a 90-day program that I work with women on that, focuses on the traditional ways. But if you also need that extra option of looking into these medications that Magda was talking about, then that's something we can, I can steer you towards,
Mhm.
and you can look into it. That's an option that you
Absolutely.
have.
It's,
Yeah.
it's, it's really great to have that connection. Your body and your mind, they always talking to each other.
Yeah.
And in order to do one thing, one depends on the other. And it's like I was saying,
Absolutely.
for me to start sharing this journey, I had to be in the right mindset to do it. That's why I'm being open about it now. And I didn't do it 6 months ago when I started, because if I wasn't mentally prepared and
Right.
educated to talk about it, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Well, if there are any questions from anyone listening, this will also be available for replay in my group and on my page for a few days. So if you listen on the replay, certainly turn in, hand me some questions, etc., that I will, get to Magda and be able to answer. Or if I can answer, I definitely will answer. But
Mhm.
again, if anyone is interested, I encourage you to send me a DM now. Okay. And then, I'll ask you some questions and then we could take it from there. Okay.
Absolutely.
All
Thank
right.
you so much for having me. It was a blast. Lovely to
Thank
see you
you.
again.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Again, as I said, if you've got any questions, send me a DM. And this ends our live stream. I look forward to seeing you in my DMs with questions that you have and next steps. Bye bye.